Welcome to this new Addon Spotlight. In this Addon Spotlight we're gonna look at the Royal Aircraft Factory SE-5, which is a British biplane fighter aircraft which was used in the First World War in mid-1917. It's I would say aircraft which is still under development, so there are some, or there might be some issues with it. I've not tried myself. This is the first I would say flight I'm gonna do with it. If you look at the modeling, it looks pretty nice. There is some work to do. If you look at the sharpness, right, at the resolution from, for example, the I would say the logos on the aircraft. If you look from, I would say, distance, it looks pretty nice. It also, yeah, you can see that it's really an old aircraft, right? So flaps are working, as looks like, because flaps have been set. The pilot is also ready. So let's go inside the aircraft and have a look. And this is one of the observations which I already had, is that it looks like that you're sitting outside of the aircraft, which is kind of cool, right? If you look inside the aircraft, you of course have the, I would say, the default items. There's no, I would say, option to leverage the buttons, so there's some work to be done. The only buttons which are working are the mixture and the throttle, and here we've got the magneto and the ignition. The other buttons which are displayed here are not working yet. The nice thing is that I would say the gouges are all pretty detailed. So let's see if they're working, because it will be, of course, the most interesting thing. You can see that the movement of the throttle works perfectly, right? I can move it and back. It might be a little bit hard to see. Here it is. So that works. So let's reset the view. Let's first try some other camera positions to see if we've got one which is a little bit more nicer. It doesn't look like, to be honest. So let's go to the default view and let's remove the parking brake and let's go full stop. As mentioned, right, this aircraft is still under development. This is version 0.01, so it's kind of expected that it doesn't work 100% correctly. So let's try to take off with it, else we will end up in the trees. So first try went completely wrong, so let's see if we can do it a little bit better. Maybe this runway is a little bit too short, so let's set some additional flaps. Let's set the parking brake and let's first increase the throttle, and you can see that the gouges are working. Maybe let's look from the outside. Oh. Not so good. It looks like that this runway is a little bit too short, so let me go back to the main menu and let's select another runway. So in this case, world map, zoom out a bit, and let's go to, well, Courchevel is not the correct one. You might know it from other, I would say, from other flight challenges. So let me see if there's a bigger airport in the neighborhood which we can use. No. Geneva might be a larger one. This is the stuff. Does it have also an airport? Yes, it has. So let's depart from this runway. It should be pretty okay. So let's give it a try. And how to install this pretty easy. It's simply downloading it, then unzipping it into the community folder, and then it will work. So that's good. And now let's wait till it has loaded, right? And let's see if we can take off from this longer runway. So always takes a little bit longer if you try it, of course. So here we go. So let's increase throttling, removing the parking brakes. $60, $70, $80, $90 knots. So we're going airborne. So it looks like that the previous runway was a little bit too short to go airborne. So that's something to keep in mind if trying out this aircraft. You need a runway which is, I would say, pretty lengthy before you can go airborne. So we're flying. So you can see that the gouges are working, right? You can see them increasing, including the gouge. Let me see. Let me show you. Probably it's not. Yeah. So there's something which is definitely requires some attention. Is the camera views. So let me do it another way using the mouse, and then zooming in. So we can see that the gouges are for altitude and for speed are working. Also the fuel pressure looks like to work, as well as the compass, as you can see. And also the artificial horizon does look like to work perfectly. Looking left and right also works nice. Only the position of the pilot should have been in the center of the aircraft, of course. However, personally I like this view because it's much easier. If I would sit in the position of the pilot, it would probably be a little bit harder to look at it. So let's see if flaps etc. are working, right? So let me reduce the flaps, and you can see that they are nicely reducing, right? So that also works perfectly. And also if we make turns, you can see that the other ones are working nicely. Also the one at the tail does work. See that if we're increasing or decreasing the altitude, it works nicely. Oh, not too steep. And here we go, right? So if we look at the bottom of the aircraft, which we couldn't do when we were on the runway, you can see it's also nicely modeled. There are some details which, if you go closer, they're looking less sharp, but overall it's good. You can also see the heat of the engine is coming out of here. So let's increase the altitude here. Here we can see the pilot, right, sitting in the aircraft. There's a machine gun on top of the aircraft. Right, you can ask yourself, okay, hey, what is the added value for in flight simulator? Well, it doesn't add any value, but it belongs to the airplane. And overall, it's flying really nicely, right? It's just fun to fly with. So as mentioned already, this aircraft is still under development, so expect that some items might not work as you would hope they work. But overall, I would say it's a good starting point of the aircraft. So kudos to the developer, who is, I would say, really fair in saying that he's not a developer. I think he's done pretty nicely with this first release. I would hope that he will, I would say, release a lot of updates for this one, which makes the aircraft even better. this is where this video ends. I hope you liked it. If you liked it, then consider to use the like button. If you've got questions or comments, then feel free to put them in the comment box below the video. And for those who want to download this aircraft and give it a try themselves, you can find the download link in the description of this video. If you want to stay up to date about new videos I'm posting, then consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks for watching and see you next time.